Hi there. I did a video yesterday about joining associations and groups and such, and people, specifically private investigators and skip tracers and the like, said, why should I get into the process serving business? How do I get into the process serving business? I will tell you that I've been in this industry since 1987, late 1987. I didn't really know much about the process serving business until I stumbled on NAPS. I'm not going to give, a big shout out to any one group or another, but I don't even remember how I stumbled across NAPS. I was doing subpoenas here and there, once in a blue moon for some of my regular, local clients. And then it got to the point where, I needed something, this industry goes like this. It's never an even keel. You have to learn how to do things. I learned how to do skip tracing. I learned, how to do asset searches. I learned how to do these other things. You have to learn how to do these things to supplement your income. Right now, like in my area that I cover, 3 out of 4 of my offices are really slow as it comes to process serving. Process serving is pretty much simple. You have to check your state. Like, for example, New York, you need specific licenses for certain boroughs. Florida, you need specific licenses for certain boroughs. But for the most part, if you're over the age of 18 and you do not have a criminal record, you can serve process pretty much for anybody, whether it's an individual, whether it's an attorney, or whatnot. So you can serve process. It does help if you're part of a group or an organization. When you serve process, sorry, I was trying to turn my volume down. When you serve process, you want to find somebody that can mentor you and help you out. Basically, there's, a form, an affidavit form. Some of your clients will provide them. New York, California, they have, specific forms that you have to file. That's why I suggest something like Serve Manager, Process Server Toolbox, those things out there, because they have the specific state-generated forms. I have a generic form that I was using until I started with Serve Manager, and then I use, a generic form of Serve Manager unless it comes that way. But basically, like I said, serve as a process, you can, start it, whatever, $40, $50, $60, depending on your area. Generally, you want to provide somebody 3 attempts to do something. Generally, the rule of thumb is you do 1 before 8 o'clock in the morning, 1 from 9 to 5, and 1 after 6 o'clock in the evening, and 1 on a weekend if you can. So you have to make sure you follow those rules, because the judge is going to say, nobody's home from 9 to 5, so you need to provide that particular time. You really want to look for a mentor. You really want to look for a notary that will help you notarize your affidavits or get a notary in your office. I have a list if anybody's interested of, certain rules in certain states, what's required. If it's a notary is required, if licensing is required, you can certainly email me, and I'll put my email here in the comments. You can email me for those listings. Again, it really depends on how extensive you want to go. It's great, in my opinion, if you're, for example, a skip tracing, you want to get into this, because then you can do your due diligence and offer the client, when it's a bad address or a vacant address, skip tracing services. I will tell you, like, for example, when we go out and do a service, if it's a business, that's completely different. You're in, out, bang, boom. But, when you're doing a person, my recommendation is you check with neighbors. You can try to check with the Postal Service, depending on how far it is. UPS, FedEx, they don't always cooperate. You want to get some kind of, and I don't have one on my desk, I don't think, but you want to get some sort of identification that identifies you as a process server. Like I said, some kind of, photo ID that identifies you as a process server. You can't have a badge 99% of the places that shows that you're a process server. They don't allow that. So you have to check with your state rules. But for the most part, like I said, anybody over the age of 18 that does not have a criminal record, basically a felony record, can serve process in, most of the states. Again, you have to be licensed in certain places. I wish you were licensed everywhere, honestly, to do that. I have insurance. It's covered under my PI insurance. I would recommend you get some kind of liability insurance as well, just my professional opinion, because people lie to you all the time. I recommend a body camera, or, you take your phone and whatever, you clip it and you let it run the entire time you're doing it, so there's not a problem with your service. But like I said, process serving to me was, it filled in the gaps in places that, where we got slow. It gave us, some things to do. Again, whether you join ServeNow, you know, or there's others, you know, like WASP, there's NAPS, there's a bunch of process serving associations. You know, again, back to what I said yesterday, make sure you get an association with a healthy membership to get you some work. You know, you want to go to your various, you know, send out a marketing card or a marketing flyer, email people, go to the courthouse, hand out your cards, let them know that you're there to do process. You know, get a couple under your belt, and, you know, the more you do, the more, you know, you'll get people out there. You know, so like I said, there's really no big tip or trick. I mean, you know, if it's a guy, sometimes I send a guy. If it's a lady, I send a lady. If it's a younger person, I send a younger person. You know, I have that luxury where I have people on my staff from, you know, 20 to 70 to help me out. I have, you know, people of all races on my staff to help me out when there's an issue. You kind of, it's just kind of a learning process on your own. But like I said, I have some forms that, you know, if you email me, I'll be happy to send you, you know, my instruction forms, so to speak. You know, I can't really provide you affidavits. I mean, I can provide you a generic affidavit of something that I use, or a sample affidavit of something that I use. But they're all different. You know, federal, you're supposed to use the federal. Certain counties, you're supposed to use the back of their counties. Things along that lines. You're supposed, you know, New York requires a certificate of conformity, which, you know, they'll send you when they do that. By that, that means that you have an attorney swearing that your notary is a notary. You know, that kind of thing. You know, so, you know, there are some things, like I said, to think about. If you're looking for some extra income, process serving is a no-brainer. And, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, joining one of these associations certainly would help you as well. You know, again, I'm not, you know, pushing any association or another. You know, every state, whether it's a PI association or a process serving association, would be good to join. Again, back from what I said yesterday, because it'll help you get the exposure. Having a Facebook page, having a LinkedIn business page also will help you get into this industry. You just need one client, and it'll go on, so on and so forth. So, like I said, if you're interested in processing serving, you can certainly email me. I have put the link over on the side, and I will be glad to send you forms. But, you know, I strongly suggest, if, you know, you have some flexible time, because you really need flexible time, as I said, you know, the required hours by most states. If you have some, you know, flexible time, certainly look into getting into it. And if you ever have any questions, you can also always call my office, and I'll put that link on the side as well. You know, you can always call my office. You know, I answer the phone pretty much from, you know, 8:30 in the morning to 9:30 at night. You know, whether I'm here or not, it forwards to my cell phone. You know, that's another thing to keep in mind. You know, you're only as good as when you answer the phone. If you don't answer your phone, whether it's for process serving, skip tracing, you know, private investigating, they're going to go to the next person. So, you know, feel free, like I said, to give me a call. You know, I've mentored a lot of people. I'm currently mentoring a young lady. You know, and, you know, I've had several people that I've mentored up and through the, up and through, you know, the industry, whether it's process serving, skip tracing. I'm not going to give out my skip tracing tips. You just don't do that. But, you know, I'll be happy to give anybody a hand. If anybody has any questions, you know, about organizations, about private investigating or process serving, again, you know, I'm an open book. You know, I'm not going to give you my tips and tricks. I'll give you some of my vendors, you know, that I use. You know, for example, you know, if I get jammed on a skip trace and employment locate, you know, I'll use Eric Neal, or I'll use Source One, you know, Pete Gonzalez. They're my two best vendors. You know, do I like IDI, TLO, all that stuff? Sure, that's a video for another day, and I can certainly do that. But if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call.